So you thought the last F1 regulation change was a big deal? Well, buckle up, because 2026 is about to drop a whole new level of chaos on Formula One. We're talking philosophical shifts, engineering headaches, and a potential grid shakeup that makes everything you've seen so far look like a gentle Sunday drive. Now, I know what you're thinking. Regulations? Snoozeville. But trust me, these aren't your grandpa's rule changes. We're going to cut through the jargon and tell you what's really changing, why it's a bigger deal than it sounds, and why your favourite team might suddenly be fighting at the back, or vice versa.
Problems for Ricardo, who spins round on turn 3!
If that's who I think it was.
This is F1 Focus, and we're diving into the glorious, confusing mess that is the 2026 rulebook. All right, first things first, the heart of the beast, the power unit. This is where things get seriously spicy. The MGU H, gone. Adios. See you later. That incredibly complex and expensive bit of kit that nobody outside of an F1 garage truly understood is being yeeted into the sun. In its place, we're getting a massive increase in electrical power and a redesigned power unit overall. We're looking at a near 50-50 split between the traditional internal combustion engine and the electrical side. On top of that, they're mandating 100% sustainable fuels. F1 is trying to go green, people. The electrical power is jumping from 120 kilowatts to 350 kilowatts. That's a serious jolt. Here's the deal, F1 wants to be more relevant to road cars, hence the electric push and sustainable fuels. They also want to attract new power unit manufacturers, which supposedly makes things more competitive. But let's be honest, more electrical power means more complex energy management strategies during the race. Drivers will be juggling more buttons than a kid in a candy store with a new remote control car. It's like trading one ridiculously complicated gadget for another, just with way more batteries involved and probably more engineers yelling, "Deploy, deploy," over the radio. Are these changes going to lead to epic overtakes or just more confusing radio messages about energy deployment?
So you're pressing radio instead of energy.
Place your bets now.
Bet it, bet!
Next up, Aero. The dark art of making air do what you want. Or, in F1's case, trying to make air not ruin the racing. The big buzzword here is active aerodynamics, which includes movable front and rear wings. This means parts of the wings will actually flap and adjust during a lap. On the straights, the wings will flatten out to reduce drag, making the cars faster. Then, in the turns, they'll readjust to increase downforce, giving the drivers more grip. It's like the car is doing a little dance to the air, trying to be as slippery as possible and then as sticky as possible, all in the span of a few seconds.
Okay.
And get this, they're introducing a new system for overtaking that gives drivers a short burst of additional battery power when they're within 1 second of the car in front. In your face, DRS. This is essentially a fancy new way to help with overtakes, using that beefed up electrical system
Through this part of the track.
Will this actually help with dirty air and make overtakes easier? Or is this just another attempt by the FIA that might not work as planned, leading to awkward moments where a driver hits the overtake button and nothing happens? It feels a bit like trying to fix a leaky roof with a roll of duct tape. It might help a little, but the fundamental problem is still there. Get ready for engineers to spend thousands of hours figuring out the perfect flap angle and energy deployment strategy, only for a gust of wind or a sudden loss of power to ruin everything. And the cars themselves are supposed to get a diet and a haircut, and they're getting new shoes too. The cars will be shorter, narrower, and crucially, about 30 kilograms lighter. That's not a massive amount in the grand scheme of things when the cars currently weigh over 800 kilograms. But hey, every little bit helps. Maybe. The wheelbase is shrinking and they're getting a bit skinnier. F1 has been trying to make cars lighter for years, and somehow they keep getting heavier.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
It's like they have a secret all-you-can-eat buffet in the garage. Will they actually hit this weight target? I'll believe it when I see it. They'll probably shave off a few kilos here and there, only to add them back on with extra sensors, bigger batteries, or some new mandatory safety structure that weighs a ton. On top of the size and weight changes, we're getting new tyres that will be slightly narrower. This could shake things up a bit in terms of grip and how the cars handle. Get ready for drivers complaining about lack of grip, because that always happens with new tyre regulations. It's like getting new shoes. Sometimes they fit perfectly and sometimes you just get blisters. And of course, safety is always a priority, as it should be.
Nice.
The FIA is constantly looking at ways to make these ridiculously fast machines a little less likely to, turn drivers into a fine mist. Safety improvements include stronger structures and even tougher tests. Safety is paramount, of course. The flip side, though? All those stronger structures and tougher tests often pile on the weight and complexity, and that has an impact on how these cars actually race. It's a tough balance, and F1 has come a long way. But let's hope the new safety measures don't make the cars feel too much like armoured personnel carriers, even if they are technically safer personnel carriers. We want the drivers to be safe, but we also want to see them pushing the limits. Now here's the part that actually makes F1 interesting when major rules drop. The glorious uncertainty. New regulations are the ultimate equalizer, or the ultimate chaos creator. Nobody truly knows who's going to nail the interpretation of these rules and who's going to completely trip over their own feet.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
We've seen this movie before. Remember 2009? Honda packed up and went home, and everyone thought that team was dead and buried. Then comes Brawn GP, Frankenstein back to life, and suddenly they're winning everything because they found a loophole in the rules that everyone else somehow missed. The loophole? The double diffuser. While other teams interpreted the new Aero rules to mean the diffuser had to be a single, simple structure, Brawn found a clever way to create a second upper channel within the diffuser. This basically supercharged their car's ability to generate downforce from the airflow underneath, giving them a huge advantage. It was like finding a cheat code in the F1 rulebook that gave them a massive aero boost before anyone else caught on. Proves you don't need a multi-bajillion-dollar budget to be smart, just to read the fine print better than the next guy and find that sneaky advantage. Or how about 2014, when F1 went all hybrid? This was a massive engineering reset, shifting to those complex V6 turbo hybrid power units. While everyone was scrambling, Mercedes clearly read the assignment and built an engine that sounded like a spaceship, while everyone else was still trying to figure out where to plug it in. What they really nailed was the integration of the turbocharger and the MGU H, that energy recovery system we just said goodbye to. They figured out a way to split the turbo and the MGU H, mounting them on either end of the V6 engine. This was a packaging masterclass that allowed for a much more efficient and powerful energy recovery and deployment system compared to their rivals. They weren't just good, they were light years ahead on the power unit side. And thus, the Silver Arrow reign of terror began. It just shows when you nail a new power unit regulation with superior engineering, you can basically print championship trophies for a decade. But it's not just about who gets it right. New regulations are also a masterclass in how to utterly mess things up. We've seen big names trip over themselves coming out of the gate with new rules.
And this, for the world champion, is certainly not the start he was anticipating from all the highs in Abu.
Remember Ferrari looking a bit lost in 2014, or McLaren's journey with Honda in the hybrid era. It's proof that even the smartest engineers can sometimes build a car that's more tractor than race car when the rulebook changes. Even the recent 2022 rules bringing back ground effect showed us the chaos. The idea was to make racing closer, and it kind of worked, but it also gave us porpoising. Cars bouncing down the straight like a lowrider with broken suspension. And while some teams immediately clicked with the new Aero, others were left scratching their heads, trying to figure out why their multi-million-dollar machine was acting like a kangaroo on a trampoline. This is the beauty and the madness of F1 regulation changes. It's a massive gamble for every single team on the grid. My prediction? Someone, probably a team currently at the front, is going to get it spectacularly wrong, and someone else, maybe a team we haven't thought about in years, is going to build a banger. Get ready for some spicy narratives, engineers pulling all-nighters fueled by questionable coffee, and probably a few team principals looking like they've seen a ghost after seeing their car's performance data. Putting aside the crystal ball for a second, here's the bottom line on these regulations. The 2026 F1 regulations aren't just a few minor tweaks. They're a full-on shake-up of the sport's DNA. We're talking a massively different power unit with way more electric punch, 100% sustainable fuels, and that override mode to spice things up on track. We've got active Aero making the cars dance through the air to optimise for both speed and grip, and a push for lighter, smaller machines with narrower tyres. Plus, they're making the cars even safer with stronger structures and tougher tests. Will it work perfectly? Probably not. This is F1 after all, and chaos is usually on the menu with big rule changes. But that uncertainty is also what makes it exciting. The next couple of years are going to be a wild rush as teams work in secret to build these new cars. We'll see who's been doing their homework and who gets sent to the principal's office. What do you think about the 2026 regs? Hype or headache? Let me know in the comments below. Hit me with your spiciest takes. And if you want more brutally honest F1 opinions that cut through the noise, subscribe and ring that bell. Thanks for watching, and remember, keep your tyre pressures right and your takes even tighter.
Side Max Verstappen! Verstappen is ahead of Kimi Räikkönen. Verstappen from 16th on the grid to 3rd at the checkered flag.
Yes! Yes!